You just got your property tax bill. You open it, you stared at it, and now you're re-questioning every financial decision you've ever made since buying a home in a place where the government treats your mailbox like an ATM. Sounds familiar, right? Every year, millions of Americans hand over thousands of dollars, sometimes tens of thousands, just for the privilege of owning property they already paid for. It's like buying a car and then paying the dealership rent to park it in your own garage forever. But here's the thing they don't want you to know. Some towns in America have figured out how to make property taxes nearly disappear. And no, this isn't some offshore shell company scheme or a crypto bro tax dodge that'll land you in federal court. This is legal. This is real. And in some cases, this is literally $0. Welcome to the loophole. See, while you're doom scrolling Zillow crying over $12,000 annual tax bills in New Jersey, there are places, real places, with running water and everything where property taxes are a rounding error, or don't exist at all. But there's always a catch. Actually, 10 of them. Because some of these tax havens come with blizzards, isolation, oil field neighbors, or towns so small the mayor is also the mailman. We're counting down 10 U.S. towns keeping the $0 property tax secret alive, ranked by how surprising, sneaky, or straight up unhinged they are. Let's break it down. Number 9, Firehope, Alabama. Firehope, Alabama has some of the lowest property taxes in the entire country. We're talking rates so low, California homeowners would weep into their avocado toast. And it's not in the middle of nowhere, it's a charming coastal town on Mobile Bay, with art galleries, craft breweries, and sunsets that look photoshopped. Sounds too good to be true, right? Let's dig in. Alabama, as a state, has some of the lowest property taxes in the nation. The median effective property tax rate is about 0.39% compared to the national average of around 1%. And Firehope specifically, thanks to a combination of state law, local exemptions, and something called the single tax colony philosophy the town was literally founded on. Property taxes are laughably low. Let's run the numbers. Median home price in Firehope, approximately $450. Zero, average annual property tax, around $1,100 to $2,000. Compare that to a similar price home in New Jersey, where you'd be paying $10,000 or more annually, forever. Firehope also has homestead exemptions that further reduce your taxable value. If it's your primary residence, seniors get additional breaks. Veterans too. It's like Alabama looked at the tax code and said, what if we just didn't? So why isn't everyone flocking to Firehope? 2 words, hurricane insurance. See, Firehope sits right on the Gulf Coast. Beautiful, absolutely. Also directly in the crosshairs of every tropical storm that wanders up from the Caribbean, looking for trouble. Your property taxes might be $1,500 a year, but your homeowner's insurance, especially wind and flood coverage, can easily run for $0 to $8,000 annually. Some homes near the water pay more in insurance than the house is worth over a decade. Oh, and if a hurricane does hit, good luck getting a claims adjuster to call you back before Thanksgiving. One Redditor summed it up perfectly: move to Firehope to escape New York taxes. Now, I pay nothing to the county but $6,000 a year to USAA. Just to pray a storm doesn't reorganize my living room. Let's talk about what the tourism brochures skip. Firehope is hot. Notto, it's a bit warm hot. We're talking aggressive, soul melting. Humidity dash that dash feels dash like dash wearing dash a dash wet dash sweater dash and dash a dash sauna hot. From May to October, stepping outside feels like opening an oven with your face. The job market, limited unless you're in healthcare, hospitality, or retiree services. It's a small town population around 23,000, which means everyone knows everyone. And good luck keeping a secret. Also, the traffic during snowbird season is inexplicable for a town this size. Where are all these people going? The one target. You're sitting on your porch in Firehope, Spanish moss swaying overhead, Mobile Bay glittering in the distance. A neighbor waves. The air smells like jasmine and salt water. Would you trade low property taxes for the annual anxiety of hurricane season? Or is Firehope's southern charm worth the insurance gamble? Vote below. And yes, I accept bribes in the form of Gulf shrimp recommendations. Number 8, Cheyenne, Wyoming. Wyoming is no state income tax, no corporate income tax, and property taxes that make Texas blush. Cheyenne, the state capital, is basically a spreadsheet nerd's fantasy island, except instead of beaches, there's wind. So much wind. Welcome to America's best-kept tax shelter secret, hiding in plain sight on the high plains. Let's talk about why Wyoming is the Delaware of the West, but for regular people, not just shell corporations. Wyoming has no personal income tax, no corporate income tax, no gross receipts tax, and no retirement income tax. Property taxes? among the lowest in the nation, averaging around 0.55% of assessed value. For a $350,000 home in Cheyenne, you're looking at roughly $1,900 per year in property taxes. Compare that to a similar home in Illinois, where you'd pay closer to $7,500. And here's the kicker. Wyoming's property tax system assesses residential property at only 9.5% of market value before applying the tax rate. That's not a typo. The state literally shrinks your home's taxable value before even starting the calculation. It's like the tax code went to a discount store and came back with a coupon. Cheyenne specifically benefits from being the state capital, which means state jobs, federal presence, and infrastructure you won't find in Wyoming's smaller towns. So why isn't Cheyenne overrun with tax refugees? Because Wyoming will literally try to blow you away. Cheyenne is one of the windiest cities in America. Average wind speeds hover around 12 to 15 miles per hour, with gusts regularly hitting 40 to 60 miles per hour. We're not talking pleasant breezes, we're talking your trash can is now in Nebraska kind of wind. Your hair, a permanent disaster. Your patio furniture, a liability. Your soul, slowly eroded. Also, isolation. Cheyenne is 90 minutes from Denver, which sounds close until you realize that's the nearest major city. The population is only about 65,000. Winters are long, cold, and unforgiving. And the phrase nightlife is used loosely here unless you count watching tumbleweeds race. One local posted, "I moved here for the tax savings. I've saved $15,000 over 3 years. I've also spent $2,000 on chiropractor visits because the wind literally pushed me over twice." Worth it? Probably. Let's get real about Cheyenne. The job market is limited mostly government, energy, and logistics. If you're not remote working or in a specialized field, options thin out fast. The dating scene? Questionable. Cultural amenities? You've got Frontier Days once a year and a surprisingly good coffee shop. That's about it. Healthcare options are limited compared to larger metros. And if you want ethnic food that isn't Mexican or a chain restaurant, you might be driving to Denver. Oh, and did I mention the wind? You file your taxes in April and realize you owe nothing. Then a gust hits and your lawn chair is suddenly in your neighbor's yard. You retrieve it. Another gust, it's gone again. You wave at the wind, defeated, and retreat inside to check your investment portfolio while the house rattles like a conspiracy theorist manifesto. Would you endure Wyoming's wind and isolation to pay almost nothing in taxes? Or would you rather fork over your income to California and at least have sushi options? Tell me in the comments, preferably while your patio umbrella is still grounded. Number 7. Farley, Iowa. Farley, Iowa will give you a free lot, low property taxes, and a community so tight-knit they probably already know you're reading this. It's the Midwest answer to the housing crisis. Just give people land and hope they stay. Sounds like a trap, right? Let's find out. Farley is a small town of about 500 people in Dubuque County, and they're offering heavily subsidized or sometimes outright free residential lots to attract new residents. Iowa already has relatively modest property taxes, averaging around 1.5% effective rate. But Farley sweetens the pot with tax increment financing districts and development incentives that further reduce what new homeowners pay. Let's run the numbers. Median home price, around $110,000. Average property tax, approximately $2,800 per year, but with various abatements and incentives for new construction. You can see significantly lower bills in your first several years. Free lots are available through the city's economic development program. You claim a plot, agree to build within a certain time frame, and suddenly you're a landowner in a town where the biggest traffic jam is for cars at a stop sign. So why isn't everyone racing to Farley? Because Farley is quiet. Really, really quiet. If you're coming from any metropolitan area, the culture shock will hit you like a tractor on a county road. There's no Target, no Starbucks. The nearest anything resembling a mall is 20 minutes away in Dubuque. Entertainment options include the local bar, church events, high school sports, and watching corn grow. That's not a joke. People literally do that here. The winters are brutal. The summers are humid, and if you're single, your dating pool is roughly the size of a hot tub. One former city dweller wrote, "Moved to Farley for the free land. Built a nice house. Saved thousands. But I've even here 2 years. My most exciting Friday night was watching my neighbor fix his lawnmower. We both agreed it was a good time." Let's address the practical annoyances. Internet can be spotty outside the town core. Pray you're not on Zoom when a storm rolls through. The job market is almost entirely local agriculture, manufacturing, or commuting to Dubuque. And if you're a person of color, or LGBTQ+, or just different in any visible way, small-town Iowa can feel isolating. Also, everyone knows everyone. Your business is their business. Had an argument with your spouse last night. 3 neighbors already know and have opinions. You wake up in your newly built home on land you got for free outside. Dew glistens on a cornfield that stretches to the horizon. It's silent except for birds and a distant tractor. You check your property tax bill manageable, almost cute compared to what you used to pay. You pour your coffee, content, then you realize it's Saturday. You have nothing to do, nobody to see. You consider starting a podcast just to have someone to talk to. The corn, unbothered, continues to grow. Would you trade urban chaos for small-town silence and a free lot? Or would the boredom break you? Within 6 months, drop your answer below and be honest about how long you'd last without DoorDash. Number 6. Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Tennessee has no state income tax. Gatlinburg has millions of tourists paying sales taxes so residents barely have to. It's basically a financial cheat code. Live in a mountain paradise and let out-of-towners fund your infrastructure. Sounds like a scam for once benefiting the little guy, right? Welcome to the loophole. Tennessee famously has no state income tax on wages. None. Zero. Your paycheck is yours minus federal taxes, of course, because Uncle Sam always gets his cut. But here's where Gatlinburg gets interesting. The town generates over $500 million annually in tourism revenue. Millions of visitors pour through every year, spending money on hotels. Pancake houses. There are an absurd number of pancake houses. And Dolly Parton attractions. That sales tax revenue subsidizes local services, keeping property taxes remarkably low for residents. Let's run the numbers. Average property tax rate in Sevier County, around 0.55%, well below the national average. No income tax, low property tax, and tourists foot the bill for roads, schools, and emergency services. It's like living in a theme park where you're the only one not paying admission. So why isn't everyone living in Gatlinburg? Because you are living in a theme park, and the traffic will break you. Gatlinburg has a permanent population of about 4,000 people, but on any given weekend, the town swells to 50,000 plus visitors. The main strip becomes a parking lot. A 2-mile drive takes 45 minutes. Tourists wander into the road like confused deer, and during peak season summer and fall escaping. Your own neighborhood feels like a hostage negotiation. Also, housing is expensive because investors have bought everything for short-term rentals. Good luck finding an affordable home that isn't surrounded by bachelorette parties. As one local put it, I love Gatlinburg. I hate Gatlinburg traffic. I save thousands on taxes, but spend hours stuck behind a minivan from Ohio going 15 miles per hour because they're looking at leaves. Trade-offs. Here's the fine print. Jobs in Gatlinburg are almost entirely tourism-based, low wages. Seasonal hours. If you're not working remotely or retired, income options are limited. The town is a wildfire risk. The 2016 fires devastated entire neighborhoods, and infrastructure can't keep up with the tourists. Load roads are strained, parking is a nightmare. And good luck getting a dinner reservation at your own local restaurant. Also, everything is overpriced because it's built for tourists, not residents. One is $6 coffee and $20 pancakes. Gatlinburg's got you covered. You wake up in your cabin in the Smoky Mountains. Fog rolls through the valley. You pay no state income tax. Your property tax bill is less than a New York City parking space. You feel like you've hacked the system. Then you try to leave for groceries. Traffic is backed up for 2 miles. A tour bus blocks your street. Someone asks if you know where Dollywood is. You retreat inside, order delivery, and quietly accept that leaving the house between March and November is a mistake. Would you live in a tourist trap to pay almost nothing in taxes? Or would the traffic and pancake house saturation drive you to madness? Tell me below, and yes, I want Dollywood reviews too. Number 5. Rogersville, Tennessee. Rogersville, Tennessee is one of the most affordable places to own property in America. Property taxes so low, they're almost an afterthought. Home prices that make millennials weep with hope. And a pace of life so slow, your stress will file for early retirement. But before you pack your bags, there's something you should know. Rogersville sits in Hawkins County, one of the cheapest counties in Tennessee for property ownership. Combined with Tennessee's lack of state income tax, the tax burden here is almost comically low. Let's run the numbers. Median home price, approximately $190,000. Average property tax rate, around 0.5%. That translates to roughly $1,000 per year in property taxes, $1,000 to own a home. Annually, people in New Jersey pay that monthly just to think about property taxes, add in Tennessee's homestead exemption for seniors and disabled residents, and you could be paying even less. The town itself is historic, one of the oldest in Tennessee with the downtown. That feels frozen in a more affordable time. So why isn't Rogersville the next Austin? Because the job market is basically a rumor. Rogersville has a population of about 4,300 and economic opportunities are severely limited. Major employers, a hospital, a few manufacturers, and that's about it. Average household income is well below the national median if you're not retired, remote working. or willing to commute 45 plus minutes to a larger city, employment options are thin. This is the deal you make. Rock bottom property taxes in exchange for rock bottom earning potential. One Rogersville resident posted, "I bought a 3-bedroom house for $145,000. Property taxes are $900 a year, but I drive an hour to Johnson City for any job that pays above. Poverty wages, it's cheap because it has to be. Let's be real about what you're walking into. Healthcare options are limited. The nearest major hospital is a drive away. High-speed internet is spotty outside town. Cultural amenities are sparse. And if you're looking for diversity, in any sense economic, cultural, culinary, Rogersville might feel limiting. The town is also in a region that has struggled with the opioid crisis, which has impacted community resources and social services. It's affordable because it has to be, and that cuts both ways. You close on a historic home with a wraparound porch, total cost less than a Tesla. Your property tax bill arrives $950 for the year. You almost frame it out of spite. Then Monday morning comes, you apply for jobs online. There's one posting within 30 miles and it pays $14 an hour. You consider starting an Etsy shop. The porch is beautiful. The silence is thick. Your house rich but opportunity poor. And the sunset doesn't care about your LinkedIn profile. Would you move somewhere with rock bottom taxes if it meant rock bottom income opportunities? Or is cheap only cheap if you can afford to be there? Hit the comment side one honest math. Number 4. Medora, North Dakota. Medora, North Dakota has so much oil money floating around. The town practically subsidizes itself. Property taxes are low. Services are funded by energy revenue. And you could theoretically live like a king if you're willing to share your kingdom with wind, snow, and isolation so profound you start naming the wildlife. Sounds like a rugged tax haven dream. Right, let's dig into the permafrost. North Dakota has been swimming in oil revenue from the Bakken Formation for years. And that money trickles down in strange ways. Property taxes in rural North Dakota are among the lowest in the nation. And towns like Medora benefit from energy-related tax distributions that fund local services. Without much burden on residents, let's run the numbers. Average effective property tax rate in North Dakota, around 0.94% below the national average. But in rural western counties, even lower, sometimes dipping under 0.7%. Medora itself is tiny permanent. Population under 150, but it functions as a tourist gateway to Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Median seasonal revenue helps keep taxes minimal. State income tax in North Dakota is also low, maxing out around 0.5%. So why isn't Medora overrun with tax-savvy pioneers? Because winter in North Dakota isn't a season. It's a lifestyle, a painful, frozen, my-face-hurting lifestyle. Temperatures regularly drop to -20 F. Blizzards shut down highways for days. The wind chill makes your bones question their choices, and Medora specifically is so remote that the nearest Walmart is over an hour away. The nearest city with any real services, Dickinson, is a 40-minute drive through conditions that sometimes include literal visibility zero. Also, summer brings tourists by the thousands, which is great for the economy, but less great if you wanted solitude. One Medora-adjacent resident said, "I pay almost nothing in property taxes. The oil money handles everything, but I also had to dig my truck out of a snowbank in May. Mother's Day weekend. Still worth it. Ask me in July." Healthcare is limited. You're driving significant distances for anything beyond basic care. Entertainment options are seasonal at best. The dating scene, non-existent unless you're into roughnecks or park rangers, and if the oil money ever dries up. So do the subsidies and your low-tax paradise turns into a funding problem. Also, everything costs more because of shipping, groceries, fuel. Amazon packages logistics are a tax all their own. You stand on your property, paid off. Taxes negligible. The Badlands stretch endlessly before you. Bison graze in the distance. The sky is absurdly big. You feel free. Then January hits. You haven't seen another human in for days. The roads are impassable. You're rationing coffee. A coyote stares at you through the window like it's judging your life choices. Low taxes, high solitude. The American dream frozen solid. Would you endure North Dakota winters for oil-subsidized low taxes? Or is the cost of heating oil and loneliness too high? Let me know below. Bonus points if you've actually survived the -30 wind chill. Number 3. Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama is one of the fastest growing cities in the South. Has some of the lowest property taxes in any major metro. It's bankrolled by Uncle Sam himself. NASA, the Army, and defense contractors pour billions into the city, keeping taxes low and jobs plentiful. Sounds like a glitch in the system, right? Let's launch into the details. Alabama already has some of the nation's lowest property taxes, average effective rate around 0.39%. But Huntsville sweetens the deal. Thanks to massive federal investment, we're talking Redstone Arsenal, NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, and dozens of defense contractors. The local economy is flush with high-paying jobs and federal dollars that subsidize infrastructure without requiring high local taxes. Let's run the numbers. Median home price in Huntsville, around $340,000. Average annual property tax, approximately $1,300 to $1,800 for a growing tech and defense hub. That's absurdly low. Alabama's homestead exemption further reduces property taxes on primary residences, seniors, veterans, and disabled homeowners get additional breaks. It's like the tax code actually wants you to succeed. Suspicious, I know. So, what's the catch in Rocket City? It's what I call the engineer bubble. Huntsville's economy is incredibly concentrated in aerospace, defense, and tech. Great if you're an engineer, a programmer, or have security clearance. Not so great if you're in humanities, arts, or anything that doesn't interface with the government contract. The job market is lucrative but narrow. If the federal budget ever shifts priorities, say, less defense spending, Huntsville's golden goose could start looking anemic. Also, the city has grown so fast that infrastructure is struggling to keep up. Traffic is increasingly miserable, and the small southern city charm is getting bulldozed by rapid development. One Huntsville transplant said, I pay $1,400 a year in property taxes on a $380,000 house. That's insane. But I'm also an engineer, so this town was literally built for me. My cousin with an art history degree. She lasted 6 months and moved to Nashville. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Huntsville is great if you fit the mold. STEM career, security clearance, maybe some military background. If you don't, job options thin out quickly. The city lacks some cultural diversity you'd find in larger metros. Summer heat is brutal. We're talking weeks of 95°F with southern humidity. And the growth is a double-edged sword. Traffic is worsening. Housing prices are climbing. And that low-tax secret is getting out. You close on a house near the Space and Rocket Center. You're 10 minutes from work at a defense contractor paying you 6 figures. Your property tax bill arrives $1,500 for the year. You almost laugh. Then you drive to the one art museum in town and realize it closes at 4 p.m. Your Tinder matches are all fellow engineers. Your dating life has become a whiteboard discussion about orbital mechanics. Low taxes, high rockets, moderate existential confusion. Would you move to Huntsville for low taxes and space-adjacent jobs? Or would the engineer bubble and humidity send you running? Comments below, and rocket scientists, I see you. Number 2. Bethel, Alaska. Some parts of Alaska have literally zero property taxes. Bethel, a regional hub in the Alaskan bush, sits in an area where property taxes don't exist because the traditional tax base doesn't exist either. Sounds like the ultimate loophole, right? Let's paddle into the tundra. Alaska is unique. The state has no income tax. Many rural areas, especially those in unorganized boroughs, have no property tax at all. Bethel, located in the Bethel census area, has no borough government levying property taxes. Let me be clear, zero property tax on the land. None. The trade-off, a 6% sales tax in town that funds local services. But compared to property taxes that could run thousands annually in the lower 48, it's peanuts. Let's run the numbers. Cost of a modest home in Bethel, $200,000 to $300,000. Prices are high due to construction costs. Property tax, $0. Annual savings compared to a similar home in, say, New Hampshire, easily $4,000 plus. You're not paying property taxes. You're paying Alaska prices. So why isn't everyone fleeing to Bethel? Because Bethel is accessible only by plane or boat. There are no roads connecting it to the rest of Alaska. Everything, food, fuel, building materials must be flown or barged in. And those costs are passed directly to you. A gallon of milk in Bethel can cost $10, $12. A box of cereal, $8. Fresh produce is a luxury, not a given. You're not paying property taxes, but you're paying a living in the middle of nowhere tax on every single purchase. Also, winters are dark, long, and brutally cold. We're talking negative temperatures, minimal daylight, and isolation that test even the most introverted souls. One Bethel resident posted, no property tax. That's true. But I spent $900 last month on groceries for the people. I save $3,000 a year on taxes and lose $6,000 on food and shipping. Do the math, then cry into your expensive milk. Healthcare in Bethel is limited. Complex cases get medevac to Anchorage. Internet is improving but still unreliable. Employment is mostly tied to the regional hospital, schools, and tribal organizations. And the cultural adjustment from lower 48 life to bush Alaska is significant. This is a Yupik community with its own traditions, rhythms, and expectations. Also, housing stock is limited and often not up to what you'd expect. Permafrost, flooding, and extreme conditions take a toll. You own a home on the tundra. Your property tax bill non-existent. You look out at the Kuskokwim River, vast and gray. You feel free. Then you check your grocery receipt, $45 for eggs, cheese, and bread. You bought milk last week for $11. The Amazon package you ordered took 3 weeks to arrive and cost $80 in shipping. You didn't pay property taxes, but the land made you pay in other ways. The northern lights flicker overhead, indifferent to your budget. Would you trade property taxes for Alaska's shipping cost and isolation? Or is Bethel's zero tax loophole canceled out by $12 milk? Tell me your math below bonus points if you've ever paid real Alaska prices. Number 1. The unorganized borough. Alaska. Welcome to the ultimate loophole. In Alaska's unorganized borough, a massive swath of land with no local government, there is literally no property tax. None. Zero. Not a cent. Because there's no government to collect it. This is the Wild West of tax avoidance. This is freedom in its rawest, most unfiltered form. And this is what happens when you realize that escaping taxes means escaping everything else too. Alaska is divided into boroughs, which are like counties. But vast portions of the state, about half of Alaska's total land area, fall into the unorganized borough. This isn't one borough. It's the absence of local government. No borough means no borough taxes. No property tax assessments. No local government telling you what to do with your land. Let's run the numbers. Property tax in the unorganized borough, $0 annually, forever. There's no entity to send you a bill. State income tax in Alaska, $0. The state has no income tax. Sales tax varies. Some communities have it, some don't. But in truly remote areas, there might not even be a store to tax you at. You can buy land for relatively cheap, sometimes a few $1,000s for remote acreage, and own it outright with no ongoing tax obligation to any local government. Sounds like paradise, right? Here's what they don't put in the brochure. No local government means no local services. No police department patrolling your road because there might not be a road. No fire department on call, you better have extinguishers, and good luck. No road maintenance if a tree falls, that's your problem. No zoning inspections. Build whatever you want, but also accept whatever your neighbors build. In the unorganized borough, you are on your own, completely, totally, legally, and existentially. Some areas are so remote they're only accessible by floatplane or snowmobile. Emergency services? You might be waiting hours or longer for help that may not come. Medical emergencies? Hope you have a satellite phone and a bush pilot on speed dial. This isn't a tax loophole. This is the social contract shattered into a million frozen pieces. One unorganized borough dweller wrote, "I pay $0 in property taxes. I also cleared my own road, installed my own water system, and had to chase a bear out of my shed with a frying pan. Nobody's coming to help you out here. Nobody." That's the point, and also the problem. Let's be brutally honest about what this life entails. You need survival skills, literal, physical survival skills. You need to know how to manage without reliable electricity, running water, or heating systems that don't involve chopping wood. You need to be comfortable with wild animals, bears, moose, wolves treating your property like their territory. Because it was long before you got there. Mental health is a real concern. Isolation, this extreme, affects people. The long, dark winters, we're talking 18 hours of darkness in December, take a toll. Depression, anxiety, and substance abuse are serious issues in remote Alaska. And if something goes wrong, a medical emergency, a fire, a mental health crisis, help is not coming quickly. Maybe not at all. You stand on 40 acres you bought for the price of a used car. No neighbors in sight. No roads. No bills. Your property tax file is empty because there is no property tax. You built a cabin with your hands. You hunted your dinner. The northern lights streak across the sky unscarred by light pollution. Then winter truly hits. The temperature drops to -40 F. The daylight shrinks to 4 hours. The snow piles higher than your door. You haven't spoken to another human in weeks. Your generator fails at 2 a.m. You realize no one is coming. No one knows you're struggling. You are free. Terrifyingly, beautifully, dangerously free. And in that moment, you understand, some loopholes have teeth. Would you trade all taxes for total self-reliance, even if it means risking your life in the Alaskan wilderness? Or is the unorganized borough a loophole only survivalists and madmen should touch? Tell me in the comments. Be honest about whether you could actually handle it. I know I couldn't. So there you have it. 10 places where property taxes are a joke, a rounding error, or literally non-existent. But here's the lesson nobody wants to hear. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Every low tax haven comes with a trade-off: isolation, weather, limited jobs, or services that simply don't exist. The question isn't can you avoid property taxes? You can, legally, today. The question is, what are you willing to give up to do it? Let me know in the comments which of these towns you'd actually consider and which ones made you grateful for your overpriced, overtaxed zip code. See you in the next one.